So, doctor, what are hormones actually? And what is the system making these hormones? What is their roles in our life? Because we seem to have a lot of them, from cortisol to serotonin to, there's so many. What are these?
Okay, hormones are what we call chemical messengers, really. So they are, I think that's just the easiest way to put it, chemical messengers. Now, there are different interactions that cause these hormones to be released, but the central control point is the brain.
Okay.
So the brain sends signals to different parts of the body to release different hormones. There are many, like really, there are a lot of hormones.
Yeah.
So different hormones have their different functions. So, but one central control point is from the brain. So the brain sends signals to, for example, this cortisol now.
Yeah.
Cortisol it's not necessarily a bad hormone.
Yeah.
It's just a hormone that the body uses to manage stress. Unfortunately, when stress now becomes too much, that's when the problem now begins to arise. But it's the central point is signal from the brain. So, for example, in the case of insulin, right? So insulin is released in the abdomen from the pancreas. Okay. Now, what causes insulin to be released? So the person eats food, right? And now the body has a lot of glucose. So the brain sends signal, okay, we need to manage this glucose. So insulin gets released to be able to manage that glucose, send it to where it needs to be sent to. The same thing with cortisol. The hypothalamus, that's part of the brain, right? Sends signal that, okay, there's problem. Oh, this person just saw a lion chasing him. We need this person to run because that's dangerous for the person. So cortisol spikes. Heart rate goes up, blood pressure goes up, person starts to breathe fast, adrenaline is released. So what these hormones now do is they help the person to react immediately. That's why you find out that somebody will tell you that, man, I fly this fence. On a normal, they're not for free fly them. That's the hormones acting to protect that person.
Yeah.
So that's then the same thing with reproductive hormones. Reproductive hormones take charge of reproduction. The thyroid hormones take care of body metabolism, generally. So all of these, there are plenty of them, but basically control comes from, okay, there's a need there. The brain now sends a signal that causes that chemical to be released to take care of that situation. That's what hormones do.
Hormones are part of the bigger endocrine system, right?
Yes, endocrine system. There's
right?
Exocrine system too, but endocrine is a more popular one because that one has a lot of hormones there.
So what's the endocrine system?
The endocrine system is a system. We call it the HPO or HPA axis. So the H is the hypothalamus. So that's where the main signal comes from. So it sends message to the pituitary gland, right? So say for example, in case of stress, let me use the more common one. In the case of stress, so the hypothalamus sends message to the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland now releases a hormone that sends message to the adrenals. Right? So now the reason it's called endocrine is because it happens in a closed system, right? So it sends message to the adrenal gland. The adrenal gland now releases cortisol, right? So cortisol now battles these hormones. Now there's the exocrine where you have the insulin there because the insulin just gets released into the entire stream. So that's endocrine system.
Endocrine system. So you're saying endocrine system the hypothalamus is in the brain, right?
Yes.
Okay, the hypothalamus sensing because the body is always sensing.
Yes, always
so
sensing.
It senses something, then it sends energy. Let me call it energy in name of a chemical to deal with that. And when you deal with that, come back again, return back to normal.
Give a feedback.
And
yes.
You can give a feedback.
That's one of the reasons it's called endocrine because it acts by positive feedback, negative feedback mechanism. So say for example now, the stress has been handled, right? Everything is now calm. Message is sent back that, okay, we no longer need this problem. We've handled this issue. You can calm down. Yeah, so it starts to calm down. So that's the negative feedback. Now, in positive feedback, there's a message sent that we need more of it, of this. Okay. So say, for example, in the case of reproduction, right? So it works by positive feedback mechanism. Estrogen is low. What do we do about it? It sends a message to the pituitary gland. Estrogen is low. Pituitary gland sends message to the hypothalamus that this thing is low in the body. So the hypothalamus will now release what we call the gonadotropin releasing hormone.
Okay.
So that one will now send a feedback back to the pituitary gland. That one will now send message down to the ovaries and then tell the ovaries that, okay, we need you to release estrogen, and then that. So that's how positive feedback happens.
Okay, within the system. You're talking about female hormones now. We talked about estrogen. So let's talk a little bit about female hormones. What are they? How many are they? And are they related to irritability, as we see in most women who, when they are in certain seasons of their cycle or month, they expect everyone around them to understand that, come on, I'm under the influence of hormone here, help me, So what's really going on? Is this something we should care about and have empathy on them? Is it really that bad as most of them are painting it?
Oh, okay. First, your question was how many female hormones are there?
Yeah.
I will not be able to put a number to it right now, but there are major ones, right?
Okay.
There's the estrogen, there's the progesterone. These are the more common, the major two, right? There are the other ones, like the anti-Mullerian hormone.
Okay.
There's luteinizing hormone. So they are there, right?
Okay.
But these are the two common ones. Now, for people who have what we call PMS, some people call it premenstrual syndrome.
Okay.
Right? So these hormones affect people differently, really. Now, interestingly, there are people who, when they are pregnant, they have these strong cravings. They want to eat rice that they put on top of gutter.
Yeah.
They want to eat so basically they have but another pregnant woman doesn't have the same problem.
Yes.
Right? So I would say that these hormones affect people differently.
Okay.
You understand? So that's that. Then, interestingly, I have a friend who said that when she modified her lifestyle, she saw a significant difference in this thing she used to call premenstrual syndrome. So it's interesting to know that with good lifestyle, some of these problems may be averted, including the common irritability.
Yeah.
So with good lifestyle and then environment, right? Some of these issues that women contend with could be averted. So it's not just the hormones per se, but their lifestyle, the environment. These are some of the things that affect this irritability that some women are faced with. And then the same thing, some people have strong menstrual cramps, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, other people who are going through the same cycle don't have the same thing.
Okay.
There are individual differences in the way these hormones affect people. And I'll always say that it's good to have empathy on them, on us, really, because it's we who know how we feel. We cannot really communicate it.
Yeah.
So sometimes have empathy, but I also know too that with very good lifestyle measures, it will be better, way better.
So you're saying that the firing of the hormones, which results in mood swings, feeling of irritability, in some could be feeling of I want to be alone. You're saying that even though it is real, something else might be increasingly doing more harm than damage. It could be a lack of good food, lack of sleep, lack of good hygiene, a lot of things under the hood. Not necessarily hormones,
not just
inflicting
hormones.
all these issues on the person. So then what about the male hormones and how do they affect the man?
The male hormone, now the most common one is the testosterone, right? And testosterone, it's energetic hormone. So the man is not more energetic because he has more muscles. That's not the only reason. The fact that the testosterone is higher, way higher in men. Women have, but very small. So that testosterone makes the man more energetic, more active. So the man doesn't necessarily have these same hormones that women have. Maybe that is why most men don't have the mood swings that women have.
Sorry, you're saying that men also do have estrogen, right?
Yes, but the estrogen, right? It comes majorly from the ovaries.
Okay.
But there's the external estrogen. Now, fat
Okay.
can be converted
Okay.
to estrogen.
Okay.
So it's there in the man,
so what you're
but
saying,
it's not much.
a man who is on the fatty side might be acting like a woman.
Why do you think? Why do you think men who are big they not start having breasts?
Okay. Okay.
So, but it's not that he would act like a woman.
Okay.
Now, because even if it's there,
Mm.
it's in the woman, right? These hormones are released cyclically.
Yeah.
It's not every day the woman has a high level of estrogen. It's just that it peaks at a certain time of the cycle and then goes back down. The man doesn't have this same thing. The man that has estrogen has estrogen.
Yeah,
So he doesn't have that pulsatile increase.
Correct,
So he might not have the sharp mood swing that a woman who had the same estrogen release would have.
Okay.
So that would be the difference there.
Okay. So I think you talked about nutrition, lifestyle changes in path. Can you go deeper into it? How lifestyle change modification can help with hormonal or effect that as we see it, because as humans we don't understand. We know that something happens in us. We're only seeing the signs of what has happened to us.
We don't know what
So how can nutrition or lifestyle help us kind of minimize the negative sides of those things happening to us?
I already mentioned that exercise, right, would help.
Okay.
Because it releases the feel-good hormones,
Yeah.
the endorphin, the dopamine, the serotonin. So those feel-good hormones help to stabilize a person. Now, I also mentioned too that a person who is not sleeping well, there's interference with the hormones.
Yeah.
And then interestingly, a person who is not sleeping well is likely to eat more.
Yeah.
Not even just because he's awake at 1 a.m., but because when a person doesn't sleep well, there are hormones we call the leptin and the ghrelin. Now, what leptin does is that leptin tells you that you're not hungry. It's okay, you're good, right? But ghrelin tells you that, man, hunger day yo, I never chop since the morning. So when a person is not sleeping well, ghrelin is up, leptin is down. So the person has cravings. That's when you start hearing, I'm craving ice cream and shawarma, So when we sleep well, it is stabilized. Leptin is higher up there, ghrelin is somewhere lower down. So it stabilizes that. Then substances.
Yeah.
The illicit substances, the alcohol, there's something alcohol does. Alcohol gives this initial feeling of I'm good, right?
Correct.
Everything is dandy, everything is perfect. But then the effects will eventually wear off, right?
True.
And then you're faced with your reality, which you have not even handled that being issue. That's one. Then two is that alcohol goes to affect the liver, goes to affect your sleep. Because interestingly, people say that alcohol makes them sleep. But that sleep is the initial sleep. It will make you sleep off, but it won't keep you asleep.
Okay.
But by the time the alcohol now goes down, the person wakes up and then finds it difficult to go back to sleep on. Two is that alcohol will now make you to be peeing up and down. So you now be peeing every 30 minutes, every 1 hour, further disturbing your sleep, affecting your hormones, So the substances, the illicit substances, they cause... Now, interestingly, these substances affect reproductive health. They start eliminating the eggs in the female. Now, yes, they eliminate. Now, what happens is, it's when the woman now has fewer eggs, it affects her ovulation. Because, a woman is born with all the eggs she will need in her lifetime.
Yeah.
Right? So by the time she's now smoking or taking illicit substances, she's destroying the eggs.
Destroying the eggs?
Yes, destroying the eggs. Or damaging the quality. That's the word I'm looking for. Damaging. So both destroying the eggs, damaging the eggs, all of them mess up her cycle. The same thing with the man. Somebody was saying that a woman who has a tough pregnancy, right? Some research have suggested it. There are some women who are very ill during pregnancy. That a lot of times it's the sperm quality. I've not delved into that to know how it happens. But a man who has a poor lifestyle habits, it will affect his sperm quality. It will affect the sperm motility.
Okay.
So everything. So he now goes to implant that in the woman. You now have different kinds of problems arising from there. So everything just affects everything. Both the fact that you're not sleeping, the fact that you're chronically stressed, the fact that you're not eating well, the fact that you're not exercising. So everything just affects the hormones, affects metabolic health, just affects the general person. That's one of the reasons why a woman who is trying to conceive, one of the things we usually tell her is, as much as possible, try not to stress about it.
Okay.
It's a difficult place to be, yes. It's difficult not to stress about it, but stress is counterproductive because stress will cause cortisol to spike. Cortisol is spiking, there's insulin resistance happening there. Insulin resistance is affecting the hormones in the body, both the female reproductive hormones. So it is not even going to help her to conceive. So we try to counsel them that as much as you're going through this challenging time, but try not to stress too much about it because it's just going to be counterproductive. So that's how bad stress can go to affect. The same thing is the nutrient, the nutrition. Now, I already said it that the substrates, like the raw material that the body needs to produce some of these hormones, most of these hormones comes from what we eat. So imagine somebody who is always eating nonsense.
Yeah.
How is the body going to get those basic amino acids? Amino acid comes mostly from protein. How is the body going to get those amino acids to produce these hormones? The same thing, these amino acids that the body needs to fight infections because the immune system needs supply of amino acids. So somebody who is not eating well has a weakened immunity because there's no substrates, there's no raw material to produce some of these things that are the body
necessary.
needs. That's why lifestyle, we cannot take it away from health. In fact, it's the key thing because it's even been shown that a lot of people who come down with depression, there's no how you want to treat them without addressing lifestyle. So one of the things we tell them is exercise, come out and walk. And that's another thing is we tell them social support, social connectedness. So there's nobody dealing with depression that we don't look for support for. So it's either you bring your family member, you bring a friend, because social support is very important in managing most of these mental health illnesses.
Yeah.
So the social connectedness, they also need to sleep. So everything, the entire human system needs good lifestyle. And I would usually say that it's not the one wrong choice you made that would offset everything, but consistently making
wrong
bad
choices.
That's what distorts everything.
So, and again, sometimes we'll say hormonal imbalance. It means something is not balancing. So, what does that mean?
Okay. When you say hormonal imbalance, it means that the person doesn't have the adequate supply of a particular hormone or too much of another hormone. Like, for example, one of the common things we tend to see is women who have irregular cycles, right? So a common cause of that is hormonal imbalance, meaning that the person either doesn't have enough estrogen, or the person has too much estrogen and no progesterone, or the person has testosterone.
The woman has testosterone.
Now, yes, like I said, a woman has a level of testosterone, right? Small quantity. But in some people, this testosterone is higher than it should be. For example, a common example now is people who are battling what was called PCOS, and that's PCOS, and is now called PMOS. So they tend to have higher testosterone. So, which is why some of them have these they have these chest hairs, because it's testosterone that causes. That's why men are more hairy than women, but they have a higher concentration of testosterone. So a lot of women who have this PCOS, their hormones are not okay, which is why a lot of times their chief complaint is either they are not seeing their period or it is coming too much. That's because something is not balanced. So hormonal imbalance simply means either they have too much of one or they have too little of the other. And it's a thing, a very common thing. And sadly, it's commoner now. And I would always say that, why do you think it's commoner now? Because our lifestyle now is different from what it was 200 years ago.
True.
These days, we will sit down, we will not move. We will sit down there, no exercise, nothing, we will not order shawarma and ice cream. Because we feel that's what makes it look like we have arrived. So we are doing that, and then at night when we should sleep, we are scrolling on the internet. So we are not sleeping, and then we are now faced with more stress now than before.
True.
So before, in the time of old, there are major problem was how to get food to eat.
Yeah.
Now our problem is how to get the latest car.
True.
Okay, I've gotten the latest car, but this my phone is iPhone 15. Every other person is using iPhone 17. So both the stress we're inducing on ourselves and the stress generally. So these are things that, so if you now want to look at it, the key thing that has changed that is making us to contend more with these issues. In fact, if a lot of them, okay, like cancer now is on the rise. What is different now? The food we eat, the way we eat the food. We're now eating everything, anything. There's this one that offends me a lot. This cotton candy. I don't allow my children eat cotton candy. You know,
what's cotton candy?
You don't know what children eat. This cotton candy that they eat is cotton. Like I'll just be like, you will blow air. For me something. I'm like, you will just blow air over fire and give somebody to eat. I don't know how you want to explain that thing to me that it will make sense. But these are things we are eating. These are things we're not eating 200 years ago. So look at the biscuits now. They want to, and you know, because I want to sell.
Yeah.
So whatever will make me sell, that's what I would do.
Sure.
The other day, what was trending was bread. Somebody says everlasting bread company. In the past, if our parents bought bread, within 2 days, that bread will change color, it will change smell, it will change taste.
Yeah.
Buy bread now. You will keep the bread, it will be there.
1 week. 2 weeks, it's still fresh.
You know, reason, preservatives. They've put a lot of preservatives. So these are things we are eating now that we were not eating before. So unless we do something about it, we're going to be contending with a lot of this. The other day I was seeing a boy in clinic. He's 23 and his blood pressure.
23.
23. His blood pressure was somewhere up there. Well, it was big. It was big.
I think you summarized it well. We might not be able to do anything around the big food industry because the Indians are bombarding us with more of this artificial madness.
And we are collecting.
China is loading us with more of this artificial sweeteners. It's all about money for most of them.
Yes.
So you can't fight the system, but the only person who has control to what goes into his mouth is you.
It's the person, yeah.
So, and that's why the lifestyle is about you watching, minding what goes into the stomach. And on this side, on emotional regulation, how do we manage our emotions regardless of what's going on inside? Because like you said, I might be feeling something inside, but my understanding of what is happening to me can affect how I respond to whatever happens outside. So how do we deal with emotional regulation regardless of what is going on in terms of hormones inside of
you? You know, one thing that it keeps going back to really is lifestyle, right? Because a person who has not slept well, you can imagine how that person's emotions will be. So you have not slept well, and then you have targets to meet. Your emotions are not going to be exactly the way it should be. So we need to sleep. I would usually say that sleep is not something you do at the end of when you have finished all you have to do.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we want to finish everything before we now go and sleep. So sleep is not something you do when you have finished all you have to do. Sleep is something you do because your body needs it. So we need to sleep. The pressure, we now have to better manage it. Staying awake is not really going to help us manage that stress better. So we need to sleep. We need to eat right. It's interesting that our food affects our hormones. And those same hormones now control the entire body's metabolism. So we now need to eat right. We need to feed our body with the correct food. Because if you're taking, you're at work, the only thing you want to now eat is a fizzy drink and gala, right? So what happens is that you take the fizzy drink, you take your sausage or your shawarma, right? You have a sugar high. So in that short time, you feel like everything is fine. Your brain is sharp. But just give it a little time. It comes crashing down. And then the same you that felt better 30 minutes ago will now find out that if they drop one more file on your table, you will spark.
You're angry.
Yes. So, but if you had eaten well, now the sugar will now be stable. It will now be going down gradually. You won't have that crash. So we need to eat well. We need to sleep well. We need to manage stress better. I've mentioned how we can manage stress. And then we need to set realistic goals, really. You cannot expect to hammer immediately you come out of school.
Mm-hmm.
Small now.
Yeah.
But by the time you set on realistic goals, you're now running against a line
The
that is, you cannot meet. So we now need to set realistic goals, and then we now need to retrain ourselves to understand that it's not everything we should react to.
Yeah.
It's not every time your boss raises his voice, you now get yourself all
Yeah.
riled up. So we now need to now retrain ourselves to calm down and understand that I'm responsible for the way I react.
Sure.
I cannot control the way somebody else acts
Sure.
towards me. So these are some things we can do apart from lifestyle. But that
Mm.
lifestyle one is the key one.
Okay, interesting. In fact, that also just reminds me of one of my trips to China. I think I went to check out this company. So I think it was around 12 p.m. So I saw everybody winding down. I was like, what are these people doing? So the manager came to ask me what I wanted. So they sent for it. So she told me, Mr. Emeka, your food will be here in 10 minutes. So from 12 to 2, we're going on break.
Mm-hmm.
Eat your food and I will meet you at 2. My dear, from 12 to 2, I
They
saw
were not
people
there.
eating. I saw people eating.
Mm-hmm.
And after eating, they cover themselves up.
Close their
I
eyes.
started sleeping. And that's a culture. Every day. So it's built into their own
Yes,
system.
that you must take a break.
So no wonder why we are seeing the life expectancy we are seeing around those
improving.
areas of the world that high.
Mm.